I guess it kind of boils down to your personal preference when it comes to Busch. I'm trying to think of more Busch puns. It's a cheap American corn beer. The fuck do you want? I like you. This isn't a craft IPA micro brew shit. A beer you buy to drink after work. Only skunked if warm? I don't think you understand what skunked means. There's going to be like 2 or 3 videos that I'm working on that cover skunked. So stay tuned. It's middle line American beer, don't bitch. If you like Bud Light, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference blindfolded. I think I'd strongly be able to tell the difference between this and Bud Light. I'm not offering that as a challenge for myself. People really dislike this beer too. I mean, pretty much every single one of the beers that I've done in the tasting so far have not been especially well-reviewed beers in the more enthusiast beer circles, to say the least. I didn't drink these beers until much later. I basically just drank craft, and that was it. I didn't drink any of this stuff until probably 3 or 4 years ago is the first time that I started drinking Budweiser and Coors and stuff like that. I basically dismissed them entirely. It's interesting to have built a palate around craft and then come back to this stuff instead of the reverse, which is usually what people end up doing. I think also that helps you appreciate these kinds of beers for what they are, which is they're just easy to drink. There's no fuss. You don't have to be analytical about them, but it can be fun. Why is normal Busch not the first thing that comes up when you search it up on Beer Advocate? Anheuser-Busch is the first one. Or Budweiser is the first one. I think this guy intended this review for something else. He says he's tasting Citra hop. Man, there's a lot of people that are rating this on Beer Advocate that are like really salty about a bunch of craft beer losers rating this beer poorly. Let the craft beer fad die out. Okay, this is a troll account for sure. This is also one of the things that I'm really pissed off about when I've been trying to find information on AB beers. They are horrible at actually telling you what the hell is in their beer. So for a company that prides itself so much on not using corn syrup, which, by the way, they do use corn syrup on several of their beers, they are not very forthcoming about what ingredients they use. So they blast other producers of beer for not disclosing what they put in their beer or using corn syrup or something like that, while they do both of those things. So when I was coming up for information with this beer, I was Googling it and I came across one of the dumbest people also ask questions I've ever encountered. It said, can natural ice get you drunk? I have to wonder, if you're asking that question, should you really be drinking? So there's kind of interesting backstory and history with this beer that I want to touch on a little bit. This laptop doesn't know my search history. There's a lot of different ideas out there. So the thought was that the pony bottle was invented or popularized by this, which it was popularized by this particular beer when it did come in the 7-ounce bottles. However, the pony of beer predated Rolling Rock existing, so that's clearly out the window. And then the number 33 has a bunch of different potential origins and stuff like that. It's almost like reading a flat earth theory or something. It's kind of ridiculous. It actually, you can see it has 33 on here. It could refer to the year 1933, which was the founding year of the Pittsburgh Steelers, because this is a Pennsylvania beer, or was a Pennsylvania beer. It no longer is. That 33 degrees Fahrenheit is the proper temperature to keep this beer, which I find pretty dubious because even American macro loggers, pretty much all of them recommend about 38 degrees, maybe a little bit lower than that. Another one is that Latrobe did 33 test batches of this before they got to the final one. There's exactly 33 stair steps to get to the brewmaster's office for Latrobe Brewing, that would be a very interesting Easter egg. It also could refer to the repeal of Prohibition, and apparently the former CEO has said that it's just a pledge to their quality. It was a 33-word pledge to quality on the back, but I like the other theories too, they're fun. There's a lot more of the Latrobe history that I would like to cover in this video, but it would be a very long video. Like, they had a very state-of-the-art facility with having glass-lined tanks. They were kind of holding their own against various buyers in Anheuser-Busch for a very long time. They eventually got bought in 1985. So they went from 1939 to 1985 being pretty much independent. I think they got bought by Labatt and then InBev, because that whole thing consolidated. And then Anheuser-Busch, when they bought InBev, then that merged. And then that's kind of where it went to shit. In the 90s, even after they got acquired, they were the 8th largest brewery in the United States. I think this might be the first one the first time that I actually finish one of these beers while recording. Because you have to keep in mind, these are 25-ounce cans. I'm not drinking the whole thing. Like this one's about halfway, I think. This one's way up here. This one's way up here. This one, oh my God. Yeah, these are basically full. This one is empty now. So that should tell you everything. I'm just really glad I got a favorite that wasn't one that I had already had. It was really bugging me. Even though we've only had 3 tastings so far. It's nice to have a first like that, so.